me all your money, little bitch. Give me all your money, little bitch. Give me all your money, little bitch. Give me all your money, little.
Oh, there she is.
Hello.
Hello, Miss Harley. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm awesome. So, please tell me your profession. What do you do? What do you hope to bring to it?
Well, I'm a professional online and financial dominatrix. I'm also known for my work as the tech dom, meaning I dominate people's technological devices, phones, computers, bank accounts. And obviously that's part of the sex work industry, as it is domination.
So, okay, what do you consider to be a part of, like, sex work?
The point of sex work?
Well, I mean, no, what is a part of sex work? Is a strip club a sex work?
Absolutely. There are many legal sex workers, strippers, porn stars, cam girls, a lot of those cosplay girls, basically anyone with a Patreon and OnlyFans, or even just a fan stream like Bella Thorne recently went from Instagram to OnlyFans because she makes adult content.
Okay. I personally, I've looked at porn in the past, you know, being an adult male. And so, I support, like, legalizing all sex work because I can see it coming out of the shadows. Do you think, like, the Teamsters could ever get involved or it could ever be unionized?
It's very difficult to unionize sex work because that would actually require a governing body or even a consistent platform with which to negotiate. For example, when unions work with, I'm thinking about teachers' unions. Teachers' unions negotiate with schools because schools are the platform for teachers, but there's no single platform for sex workers. There's the strip club. There's doing cam to cam, kind of like we're doing now, except privately. So sex work is such an individual, almost a gig economy style of work that unionization would be incredibly difficult. There is a sex workers union and they do their best to negotiate with certain platforms, like they're currently trying to get Instagram to stop shutting down sex worker accounts, even though those sex workers never violate the terms of use of Instagram. So there's some obvious discriminations within that industry.
I mean, if like certain parts of sex work was legalized, would that like kind of like stop the discrimination between it?
No, in fact, if you think about it, most sex work is legal. Strippers are legal, cam girls are legal, cosplay girls are legal. The discrimination problem comes from the fact that the government doesn't like sex work. And unfortunately, there's a conflation between sex work and sex trafficking. One is a consensual adult choosing to work in an industry that they want to work in, exercising bodily autonomy and civil rights, and the other person is a slave. And we see the same thing happen with slave labor as it relates to the textile industry, or even your iPhone is made by child slaves in another country. But but for some reason no one wants to shut down the phone industry because some phones are made by human trafficking. But there's but there's a conflation that all sex work is bad because it's all human trafficking, and that is not the case at all.
Would that slow down like the trafficking if like sex work was legal and regulated by the government?
Of course. In fact, last year there were two laws that were passed by the government. One is called SESTA, Stop Enabling Sex Traffickers Act, and the other one is called FOSTA, Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act, and both of these laws undermine Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which states that no provider of a computer service shall be treated as the publisher of an individual's opinions. So now the reason Backpage has been shut down by the DOJ and Craigslist Personals has been shut down by the DOJ is because these laws made Craigslist and Backpage responsible for the illegal ads that were being posted on their sites. But in fact, the DOJ had tried to shut down Backpage before, and they couldn't because Backpage was cooperating with law enforcement.
I did not know that.
Yes, in fact, 6 years before Backpage was indicted on federal criminal charges, the DOJ issued a memo saying that it was too difficult to shut them down because they assist investigations of sex trafficking.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. I remember when Craigslist, I think it was like Craigslist adult page, like went down. It was like almost coinciding with the 2016 election. So, yeah.
Yeah, this was as a result of those laws being passed. The government shifted the burden of free speech from the individual who might be posting an illegal ad to the website who was hosting the ad, even in the case of Backpage, where Backpage was actively working with law enforcement to catch the people engaging in human trafficking. So if you shut down the platforms that are helping you find human traffickers, doesn't that make it more difficult to catch them?
Yeah, I agree. I think it does, not only makes it more difficult to catch them, but also like makes more trafficking going on. Because as a result of me studying political science, I understand that the more laws you pass making something illegal, the more people want it, the more like this kind of shadowy thing going on,
Right. Meanwhile, the president is best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, the poster child of human trafficking and sex trafficking, but they're doing it privately, and so there isn't a big hullabaloo about it. And even now, the government is trying to pass a new act called End Banking for Human Traffickers Act, and it's putting the burden onto banks. And so now banks are shutting down legal sex worker accounts. And in fact, JP Morgan Chase closed hundreds of porn star accounts, people who were legal sex workers, because the bank can't discriminate. They don't know. And now that the burden is on them, it's a chilling effect on the whole industry. So if sex workers can't post ads online, can't use the bank, can't use any payment platforms like PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, all of those discriminate against legal sex workers. This is all a civil liberties issue. What if the government decides tomorrow they don't like what you do, Joseph, and everybody on CCTV now isn't allowed to have a bank account or social media or talk about what they do?
Oh, no, I agree with you. I mean, I support regulation of a lot of things. One of the reasons why I asked you to be on CCTV is the fact that Boston Community Television, is outside. Cambridge Community Television is outside Boston, and Boston City Council has actually talked about, regularizing prostitution. And for a lot of people in conservative America, that scares them. This is going to lead to like the fall of the American empire.
Well, as we know, prostitution occurs everywhere, whether it's legal or not. Vegas has a legal and regulated way to have legal prostitution, but every part of the country that doesn't have legal prostitution still has prostitution. And so what does that mean? It means that the government spends an inordinate amount of money on police vice squads, on locking up adults who are consensually engaging in labor with their own bodies. And of course, now people who are even part of the sex trafficking industry are afraid to come forward and tell the police that they're being kept as slaves because those slaves end up going to jail.
Wow, yeah. I mean, it leads to more problems than what there should be. I mean, I fully agree with you there. I mean, like I said, I fully agree with you, Miss Holly. I feel like the sex work on many different levels should be, legalized. I mean, the porn industry definitely is legal. I do not know if it's on the federal level or on the state level. I feel like if states did, legalize it, that could be taxed and could go down to the state GOP. They could take that money and actually use that to build the infrastructure.
Well, let me remind you, Joe, that most legal sex workers are already paying taxes. I'm a incorporated business and I pay federal and state taxes. I'm also not a prostitute, so I don't have to worry about running afoul of any of those laws. But strippers pay taxes, cam girls pay taxes. Every online platform like OnlyFans issues you a 1099 at the end of the year. So all legal sex workers are already paying taxes.
I honestly did not know that about cam girls. I know that there's a certain social media that you can go on. It seems like there's a lot of cam girls on there.
Sure, and if there's a way to pay them on a platform, for example, Patreon, if you're on Patreon making adult content, Patreon is the middleman issuing your payments and processing credit card payments. And so you get a 1099 from them that's reported to the government at the end of the year. So it's really only illegal sex workers who are not paying taxes. And that's really the problem, isn't it? And so people can't tell the difference between illegal sex work and legal sex work. I even did an interview with Playboy about the Thought audit last year, which was about reporting girls with premium Snapchats to the IRS for not paying taxes. But the reality is we are all paying taxes. So shouldn't we have fair and equal representation for the taxes we are paying?
Oh, no, I agree with you. Yes, you should. So what is legal sex work and what is illegal sex work?
Well, obviously, legal sex work is any sex work that you consume on the internet where Pornhub is your payment processor, OnlyFans is your payment processor, strippers, cam girls, dominatrixes. There's so many women engaged in sex work that are not committing any crimes. And mostly it's just prostitution that is still illegal. And I support the legalization of prostitution because it is a bodily autonomy and civil rights issue. Consenting adults should be able to do whatever they want with their own bodies in private. Do you realize that if a husband pays his wife for a blowjob because she doesn't want to give it to him, that's a crime, even though that's privately occurring between a married couple in their own home?
I did not know that at all.
I know a woman who made her husband buy her a Rolex before she would have anal sex with him. And I said, "You committed a crime." And she said, "I didn't even think about that," because she doesn't work in the sex industry. She's an older retired lady.
Wow. Okay, I did not know that at all. To be honest with you, I am from conservative Tennessee. I moved to Massachusetts probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And a lot of things that I'm having trouble processing it because, like, in the very conservative South, we don't talk about things like sex work at all. Sex is not a cure between, good conservative Christians,
It's
And
usually the good conservative Christians that are consuming the most sex work.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely true. I mean, there's that article that came out about Joey Fallow Jr. that it seemed that the thing that came out was the fact that his wife was having an affair with the pool boy, and apparently he was in the corner watching what was going on.
Sure.
I mean, there's so many things that could open a door if sex work was legal, that we wouldn't have to kind of hide in the closet, Absolutely.
And why is sex work, just like all other forms of art, is an art. It's provocative. It makes people feel feelings. If you're watching a stripper at a strip club and you feel aroused, how is that any different from going to the Museum of Modern Art and looking at the Venus de Milo and feeling aroused? Or looking at an Andy Warhol painting and feeling disgusted or upset or sympathetic? Art makes people feel feelings. And in the United States, the one feeling we villainize is arousal.
I never thought about it like that. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Because, you know, I do have my bachelor's degree in art, and the one thing they teach you about it is that, you know, it's all about what you're feeling as you're staring at the art in general. You know, there's this theory called the blank wall effect, where if you stare at a blank wall, you project thoughts upon that blank wall. You know, no matter what you're feeling at the time, it can't be wrong.
That brings up...
You know, that makes sense that we make sexual arousement illegal.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that brings up something that I want to talk about. One of the reasons I got into this industry is because the blank wall effect was always happening to me as a woman. Men were always projecting their arousal, their desire, and their disgusting sexual urges onto me. Even when I was at the grocery store buying milk at 2 o'clock in the morning, guys are always sexualizing women. And I thought, if men are going to sexualize me without my consent, I may as well make money off of it, and then I'm in control of it. So why can't I commodify something that is happening to me without my consent all the time?
I don't understand why you can't. I mean, I am huge on documentaries, and me and you have talked on Facebook, and I was like, yeah, you know, I watch porn every now and again, you know, to a guy, you know, in America, to feel ashamed about that. And some of the things that have come out about like watching documentaries is that a lot of the, you know, the actresses in the porn movies have said that they felt like they viewed in this way by guys, you know, that they was being, you know, sexualized even without their consent. Janet Jameson famously said that, you know, she was possibly raped when she was living in Oregon, you know, and she, you know, jumped into it afterwards in order to make money.
Absolutely. And so unless men are going to stop sexualizing women, the sex industry is always going to exist, and it allows women to take control back of that sexualization of our own bodies. My bachelor's degree is in history and my master's degree is in information technology.
Oh, no.
So I wasn't driven to this lifestyle. I wasn't abused. I worked in the high-tech industry in Silicon Valley for a decade. And you know what I think is exploitative? Working 15 hours a day for a corporate entity that doesn't care about me. So it's not exploitative for me to use what God gave me and the response that people have to my art to make money. Capitalism is exploitative. So if we want people to stop being exploited, then we really need to get rid of capitalism.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't think that will ever happen. I mean, there's a possibility that we'll unionize, that some, you know, places will unionize, you know, if, like, the sex industry does end up becoming, like, legalized, there'll be more unionization. I honestly don't think that we'll actually ever get rid of capitalism.
No, of course not. But I'm pointing out that the issue with labor exploitation is with capitalism. And I've told people who've told me, get a real job, get out of sex work. I've said, well, if you pay me to stop doing sex work, I will. If you pay me as much as I get paid to do sex work, then I'll stop. So give me a cool $500,000 every year and you won't see me doing sex work. That's how you really get rid of it.
So how much do you get paid doing sex work? Because I for like a full-time check, I work at a grocery store and I possibly make less than $40,000.
Oh my God. So I make anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 a day. There have been days where I've made $1 million in a single day. Financial domination is a specific type of BDSM where a submissive gets sexual pleasure from giving me their money. I don't even take off my clothes. I don't do nudity. I just let guys pay me because it gives them pleasure to do so, and it gives me pleasure to take their money.
Oh wow! Well, when we was talking and you said dominatrix, I mean, there's this idea I have of you dressing in latex and literally whipping CEOs.
Most guys can't afford that because it costs about $10,000 just to be in the same room as me. But Engadget did a documentary on me talking about how I do financial domination and high-tech domination. And basically, I don't take off my clothes, I don't get naked, I don't do anything I'm not comfortable with. Men want me to dominate their bank accounts because money is power. And so the ultimate power exchange and the ultimate humiliation is giving all of your money to a hot woman that won't have sex with you.
I have that's the first time I've heard of that. Yeah.
I'm world famous for financial domination. I've been on TV in every country. I've been interviewed by the Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, the New York Post. I've been in the Daily Mail UK. I've been everywhere talking about this one fetish.
Oh, wow. I mean, I honestly, I'm not really big into, that kind of. I'm not really big into a lot of like the sex industry, but that's the first time I've heard of that fetish. I mean, I've heard of some strange fetishes. I've heard about guys that want to put on a diaper and be spanked by women. So,
adult babies, yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's the first time I've heard about that actual guys that want to give you the money because you dominate them, financially. What's a tech fetish?
A tech fetish, I created the fetish of high-tech domination, which is why I'm known as the tech dom. What I do is guys pay me to come on their computers, I snoop through all their files, I look through all their emails, I log into their banking software, I install keyloggers on their computers to collect all their passwords and all their personal information. And then once I have control of your computer, I have control of your life. Think about if someone takes your phone away from you and is logging into all the apps on your phone. I could make you do anything. Otherwise, I might call your mom. So this is a fetish that's really about total power exchange. And so why would I whip some guy and be in the same room as him when I can just take over his computer and take all of the money out of his bank account?
That's insane. Yeah, I can see that because I've broken my phone a few times and I've had like that scary experience to where like somebody couldn't contact me because I wanted them to interview me for a job. So I honestly do not know. I mean, like I said, that's the first thing I thought of when you said dominatrix.
What people really fetishize when it comes to power exchange is a loss of control. And there's almost nothing scarier or crazier or more intense in our modern digital world than losing control of all of your digital assets. I can post on people's Facebooks pictures of them in their underwear, or I could call your mom, or I can empty your bank account. And of course, just like traditional BDSM, we negotiate limits before we begin. So someone might say, I absolutely do not want you to call my mom. That's fine. I don't have to call your mom. I can call your boss.
Oh yeah, that could be just as scary.
Exactly. And so it's really about allowing people to experience this power exchange and what arouses them. And of course, financial domination, which is my favorite, is where I get paid and I don't even have to do anything. And so this is a form of sex work, and why should I not be allowed to have a bank account just because some guys want to give me money?
Well, I just want to throw this out there that we have 3 minutes left on there. So.
Sure.
Okay, so is there anything you want to, leave the show on, or?
I would like to say that anyone who views pornography is engaging in the adult and sex work industry. So every high and mighty religious person that thinks all sex work should be illegal should also never ever look at porn again. And it's the ultimate crime to look at porn for free because you are literally stealing from artists. So just like you should pay to watch a feature film, you should pay for your porn.
Thank you, Miss Harley. Thank you for joining me. You have a wonderful night, my friend.
My pleasure, Joseph. I think we'll talk again.